Iryna Zarutska's journey was one of hope. She was a 23-year-old from Ukraine who fled war to find safety in America. Like many, she left everything behind, seeking peace and a fresh start. She arrived in Charlotte, North Carolina, hopeful for a new life. She rented a small apartment, learned English, and began working. Small victories, a job, new friends, routines, built her confidence. But behind the smile were memories of trauma from the war. She embraced Charlotte as a sanctuary. She worked, volunteered, studied, building a life full of ordinary hopes. Every day brought another small step forward, yet that sense of security would soon be shattered. What follows is a tragic reminder of how fragile safety can be. Her story would become a headline, and a question for a city. It forced Charlotte to confront larger issues around safety and care, and it would end with a community asking, how could this happen? This is the story of Iryna Zarutska, a life and the ripple it left behind. Chapter: The Night Everything Changed. The evening of Friday, August 22, 2025, was like any other in Charlotte. The air was warm, people headed home or out for the weekend. The Lynx Blue Line carries thousands each day, a reliable part of life here. Iryna was one of those commuters heading home after her day. The train pulled into East-West Boulevard Station in South End. Phones scrolled, friends spoke, nothing seemed amiss. A routine train ding, the hum of boulevard traffic. Ordinary urban rhythm, no one could have predicted what came next. In a flashing instant, the normal became chaos. Screams rose, people started running, emergency responders arrived within minutes. The platform became a crime scene, cordoned and stunned. For Iryna, the platform did not lead home that night. Her journey from refugee arrival to memorial happened in a single tragic arc. The attack occurred just before 10:30 p.m. on August 22nd. A busy entertainment district that felt safe now felt violated. What followed was a random, senseless act, and a city left searching for answers. Witnesses said there was no interaction, no argument, no provocation. A man simply walked up to her. He carried a knife. The attack was sudden and vicious. Before anyone could react, he stabbed her multiple times. Bystanders and a nurse attempted first aid, but injuries were grave. Paramedics pronounced her dead at the scene. She was not robbed. She was not known to the attacker. The randomness made the attack especially chilling. It was so horrific. I've never in my life seen something so terrible, a witness said. Another called it a wake-up call about transit safety. The attacker calmly walked away and blended into the city. In a matter of minutes, the city turned from safe to shattered. Police sealed the scene and began an urgent investigation. Surveillance footage and witness statements became crucial to identify a suspect. A community left flowers and candles where her life ended. The tragedy quickly became a symbol of deeper questions. Next, the man police say carried out the attack, and his history. Police identified the suspect as Decarlos Brown Jr., age 34, a man known to the criminal justice system. Brown's record stretches back over a decade, including armed robbery and felony larceny. He served about 5 years for armed robbery and has had repeated arrests. His history includes documented severe mental health problems. In January 2025, he had odd 911 calls claiming delusions. A forensic evaluation was requested. Despite warning signs, he remained free. A failure many argue the system must answer for. He was homeless, cycling through jails, hospitals, and shelters. Relatives and neighbors described moments of clarity and deep paranoia. Was it a psychotic break? We may never know his precise motive. He had prior convictions for violence, threats, and an assault on a family member. A pattern emerges. System contacts without sustained care. To advocates, he was a ticking time bomb that went unchecked. On August 22nd, he exploded into violence with fatal consequences. His history is not an excuse, but it is part of how the tragedy unfolded. Next, the witnesses who saw the unthinkable. People on the platform became unwilling witnesses. Their lives altered in an instant. Their memories would carry that night forever.
It happened so fast, said one witness to reporters.
One moment normal, the next everyone was screaming and running. Many described being frozen, unable to move while horror unfolded.
I will never forget the look on her face, one witness said.
Amid chaos, a nurse administered life-saving aid until paramedics arrived. First responders worked quickly, but the wounds were fatal. Witnesses experienced deep psychological trauma, insomnia, anxiety, fear of transit. Many said they feared using public transportation again. Strangers consoled strangers. Shared trauma created unexpected bonds. A vigil gathered, bringing the community together in grief. Their accounts helped investigators piece together events and identify a suspect. Surveillance footage corroborated the testimonies. Outreach and counseling resources mobilized to support those affected. In grief, the city found small moments of compassion. But the tragedy also turned attention to larger, systemic questions. Iryna's death put a spotlight on Charlotte's public transit safety. Commuters asked where was the security, cameras recorded the crime, but they don't physically stop it. Open design platforms prioritize accessibility and create vulnerabilities. Riders had complained for years about harassment, drug use, and disorder. Questions arose about security contracts and oversight. City leaders debated more officers, private guards, and new technology. Some proposed using smarter cameras and sensors to detect threats faster. But would harder security make transit feel like a fortress? The balance must protect riders without sacrificing accessibility. City council members demanded urgent reviews and accountability. Officials pledged a top-to-bottom review of transit security. The incident exposed overlapping crises, homelessness, mental health, and criminal justice. Calls grew for better outreach and sustained mental health care. There is no simple fix, only trade-offs and investments. Charlotte, like many cities, now faces hard decisions. Next, how officials and the community responded in the days after. In the days after, Charlotte mourned, and the story dominated local news. Reporters asked tough questions about transit safety. Mayor Vi Lyles expressed condolences and vowed action. The city council called an emergency meeting on transit security. CMPD increased patrols and presence on trains and platforms. Officers were made more visible during peak hours to reassure riders. Police arrested Decarlos Brown Jr., which brought some relief to the community. Still, many said the arrest didn't fix the underlying problems. Officials ordered reviews of security contracts and transit protocols. They also pledged to review mental health outreach programs. Public trust had been shaken. Many riders remained anxious. Officials balanced grief, anger, and a determination to change. CMPD increased patrols. CATS explored more security personnel and tech. Town halls were scheduled to re-engage the community in policy choices. Meanwhile, fundraising and community support helped the family and honored Iryna. Small acts of remembrance began a long process of healing. Next, the heartbreak felt here and across the ocean. Her family in Ukraine was devastated, learning from afar of their loss. They grieved from thousands of miles away. A GoFundMe campaign quickly raised funds to help the family. Community donations aimed to cover funeral and repatriation costs. Hundreds gathered at East-West Boulevard to mourn and reclaim the space. They left flowers, portraits, and messages of support. Iryna was a daughter, a friend, someone who had built a life here. She is more than a headline. She was a life of promise. Her death forces a look at public safety, mental health care, and refugee support. It demands action beyond policing, investment in services and support. Cities welcoming refugees must ensure that promise of safety is meaningful. Programs that support integration and mental health can save lives. A life cut short. Dreams unrealized. Her death is a betrayal of the safety she sought here. Let this tragedy be a catalyst. Improve safety, mental health care, and refugee services. Invest in communities so everyone can feel secure. We remember Iryna Zarutska. May her story spark change so others do not suffer the same fate.